Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is night three of the Exceptional Woman's Reboot, and we are so excited that you're here with us tonight. Tonight is definitely going to be a treat. It's going to be something that is needed. And so we are just so excited to welcome you. If this is your first time joining with us, then I am Coach Evita L. Smith. I am the founder here at Exceptional Living Empowerment Coaching and Training. And so we welcome you tonight. This is the Exceptional Woman's Reboot. And you might be saying, what is the exceptional woman? It's any woman who decides that she's ready to take her life up a level. She's ready to live beyond just the status quo. She's not called to be mediocre, but she's called to be exceptional in every area of her life. And so tonight, we are going forward. We have talked about emotional and mental health. We've talked about self-care. We've talked about relationships. And tonight we're going to talk about something that people really don't like to talk about. Many people want it, but they don't want to talk about it. And that's your money. And so tonight we have entitled tonight, Girl, Get Your Money Right. And so we're talking about in 2021, even though we've been through the pandemic and we've been sheltering in place, been at home, it's still time for us to get our money together so that we can have an exceptional 2021. And so tonight I am so excited about my special guest. And I know that once we have this conversation tonight, you're going to want to follow her. You're going to want to get some tips so that you can get your money together, because she's been there, she's done that, and now she's coaching people to get it together for themselves. And so I want to introduce to you tonight Janera Harvey. She is a resilient lady, a mompreneur, a motivator, a mentor, and counselor. She's certified with the National Association of Certified Credit Counselors, and she has birthed her own business called The Credit Journey. And it is a place of empowerment and accountability, a safe place where she helps women discover their relationship with money, unlearn financial behaviors that delay financial serenity, judgment free, and goal achieving services. And so tonight, we're going to have a much needed conversation about how we deal with our money and how we need to deal with it so going forward so we can be exceptional women. Welcome on tonight, Janera. I'm so excited to have you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you, Evita, for having me. I'm so excited to have a discussion about some money and some do nots and some do's. And I'm ready. You throw these questions at me so we can help these women become extremely exceptional tonight.
Well, we've already been having a conversation
We
offline.
had like a mini, y'all don't miss the mini sermon. Y'all know. I'm ready.
I think it's just so much that, I mean, it's like it just has so many layers, but it's something that's so necessary. And we always kind of get crazy about talking about money. It's like, that's a faux pas. Don't ask me about my money. But we want money and we want it to grow and we want to have much of it. So we have to have the discussion. But before we get started, I want to ask you, how did you get started in this business?
By accident. So let me tell you what happened without going too far left so we can stay on task. So pretty much I had come out of a divorce, right? And this is like 17 years ago. And I was going through my own money woes because I was experiencing the money issues post-divorce. Mm-hmm. So they don't tell you to prepare for your money and what to do when you get out of a marriage and you're on your own. And at that time, and still am, I was a single mom. So I didn't know what to do. I didn't know to think about my credit, how I was going to manage my money without my ex-husband's, income coming in. He handled all the bills, not me. So I wasn't doing it. I trusted him. So I learned quickly about my credit and how much it impacted me. I learned quickly about how my credit can be impacted even when you're post-divorce, and if you have some joint accounts, and what the other person can do and how that can hurt you, and how no matter what the judge say, if it's a court order, the creditors are going to come after you. Yeah, I went through that too. And how my checks got garnished, and I'm already on a fixed income with these babies that make it almost or less than $10 an hour, trying to wiggle my way through life, and here come a garnishment. You wouldn't think the person that you was married to and had this relationship would do that to you, right? So I fell into that life. So over time, I picked up bad behaviors, right? I was doing all the wrong things. So I was not getting out of my money pit fast. And then eventually I started picking up some newer behaviors, had a new income coming in, making more money. And but my credit still was kind of messy because again, from the divorce, there was a lot of dark clouds, money dark clouds over my head, right? So then I just took it another step further and I reached out to a credit repair service. And that credit repair service said, hey, we got an opportunity where you can get your credit fixed, but you also can have other people do the same and you can bring them in and then introduce them to the service. So you'll be helping people. Well, I'm a people person. I love to love on people. So I'm like, hey, why not? So in the process of doing that, I'm hearing different stories from different customers, mainly the women.
Mhm.
Because as you know, a man is not going to divulge his financial problems to you. He just wants to get his credit fixed. Not hating on the men, but that's just how they're wired. Well, the women, of course, had stories. So
Mhm.
here's some of the things I was hearing. Girl, I done did this before. So you did this more than once, and you're here again. My credit's so bad I can't get an apartment. I've been trying to get a house, can't get it. I was gonna apply the job, they didn't give me the job because my credit wasn't right. Or my kids, and this is hurting me, and I got things I got to do, and I got to do better. So I started hearing all this stuff and just constantly hearing the stories. It was giving me flashback of that old chick who had just got divorced, going through her challenges.
Mhm.
So I said, you know what? I was not called to be a credit repair specialist. I'm supposed to counsel and coach these women because I know what they're talking about. I lived it, I walked it, I can speak to those pain points. So that's when I, transitioned from credit repair specialist and went on to become certified credit counselor. And then the money coach just kind of slid his way into there because again, I'm that people person, I'm a nurturer, and I like to get to the root of things. So I just combined the two. And so the credit journey went from doing a little bit of credit repair and it transitioned to what you have today, which is the money coach, credit counselor, because we having conversations. I'm not going in here doing some quick fixes and sending you on your way, because that's not me helping the women that I
Mhm.
serve, right? My goal is to solve the problem, not to be a part of your problem. I don't want you to be the person coming back to me 6 months, a year from now, telling my girl, I need to fix again. Now I'm a part of your problem.
Mhm.
I'm not here to do that. That's not what I was called to do. So that's how I got into this.
Well, that's
So,
awesome, and it's lived experience. One of the things that you and I have
yes.
talked about is that lived experience that we've gone
Mhm.
through the bad financial crisis due to divorce and having to find your way out of it, but also
Yes.
learning so that you don't go back into it. And
Mhm.
as you were
Mhm.
just saying that there are certain stories you kept hearing from women about not being able to get apartments, not being able to get jobs because of credit. Help us understand what exactly is credit, because some people just they hear the word credit score, they hear all these, but they really don't understand what is credit. How is it impacted to the point that you might not can get that job, you might not
Mhm.
can get that apartment or that house. So help us
Mhm.
understand what is credit.
Right. So here's what I want the people that's listening. I want y'all to understand there is credit, then there's your credit score. So credit, we're gonna talk about that because credit is nothing but an exchange. It's a relationship. It's an exchange, right? Credit is when you get, let's just say two people, they come together. Person A goes to person B and say, hey, I need to borrow some money, right? Person B says, okay, I can credit you X amount of dollars. But when I do that, you have to agree that you're going to pay me back all my money with some interest, or you're going to pay me back the money in installments with the interest,
Mhm.
or you're going to pay whatever that agreement is. That is credit because it's an exchange. This person went to this person in exchange for something which is money, but is considered credit. So you exchange, and then person A agrees to these terms. So now they formulated a credit relationship with person B. So that's credit. Now, with your credit, if you do what you're supposed to do with your credit, there's these three major people or companies out here called the bureaus: Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. These companies have designated numbers that range from 300 to 850. And based on how you utilize your credit and manage your money determines how your numbers is going to reflect under each three bureau. Now, if you're doing good, you will be having some pretty numbers over here in all three areas. If you ain't doing good, you're going to have some bad numbers in these areas. So let's talk about if you're not doing good.
Okay.
So now you don't make the exchange with the credit, right? You going over here, person B said, okay, I'm gonna give you this money. You got to agree to terms. You say, oh yeah, I'll do it. You sign. You're supposed to be truthful. You know, we want to be ethical, truthful, and stuff. So sometimes things happen. A lot of things happen. Life happen. Lost a job. Medical issues. All kinds of stuff. A parent could get sick, and anything can happen. Or you just not being responsible, and that's a major. You're not being responsible now. What's happening is either you're late with payments, you're skipping payments, you're not making them, and you're defaulting on this credit, and you're tampering with your relationship now. So what's happening is person B that you got this money from, he tells on you. I'm gonna tell on them. Let's be real. That's how they go. I'm gonna tell. So he tells Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Now, with these three companies, he may not have a contract with all three. So a lot of people always say, why my credit score don't match? Why is it 700 over here, 612 over here? I'm just throwing numbers, not that it's that in that order. It's 705 over here. Well, person B, who you got this money from, who credits you this money, might only have an agreement with two of those businesses, because all three are not the same. Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion are not the same. So if he only has a relationship with those two, well, if he's reporting to those two and those two numbers are the same, that's because he told on you to those two people that he's hired to tell on you. That's how that works. Now, if it's good, he's still gonna tell on you. He got to communicate. I got some good people under me. I loan them some money. They some good people and they trustworthy. Mm-hmm. So these numbers show up on a report. The report is nothing but a financial story that a consumer has written about how they manage their money. That story you told pretty much could either be a good story or not so good story, and it determines your credit worthiness. So when you go to apply for anything that requires those three numbers in that report, however way you wrote your story, that's what you present, and that's what you look like on paper. Now that is credit and credit score and why it's important. I hope that was enough.
That was a great way to explain it. Because a lot of times people just hear it and they're like, oh, I need to kind of keep this type of credit score, but they don't really understand what is the credit and what is the credit score, so that they understand how it's impacted. And like you said, might not understand it. They're not reporting to every bureau. So you see numbers up and down and who is looking at what number. And one of the things that, as I was researching, and it was talking about that women have a harder time with getting credit, and they are charged higher interest rates because women are considered to be less likely to repay their money, and that they have issues. But we know that that's also some gender bias. But what are some ways that women in particular get in trouble with credit and get in trouble with their money? That's not necessarily like just a loss of a job or a medical crisis, but some other behaviors that are not what you need to deal with having good credit and money issues.
One, not having a budget. Very important. Got to have a budget. The mismanagement of funds. Being careless with your credit cards, meaning you treating it like it's just cash, like it's free money, and you don't owe anybody anything, and you're maxing your cards out. One, not being honest with yourself. And when you're not honest with yourself, you're not going to be honest about your money. I'm just being real with that. And if you're not going to be honest about your money, you're going to see that. And not asking for help, or not admitting that you don't know something, because it's okay. Because guess what? We were not birthed as geniuses and know everything under the sun, right? You got people here that's going to help you. And when you don't speak up or communicate, saying that, oh, I messed up and I thought I was doing this right, but I guess I wasn't. It's okay. Give yourself enough grace. We was having this conversation earlier about give yourself enough grace. You're human. You're going to make mistakes. And there's individuals like myself who's here to help you and guide you so you don't keep making the same repeated behavior. It's not picking up the phone and calling your creditors saying, hey, I overlooked the time or frame and I didn't pay my bill, but history shows I've been consistent before. Can you just honor this one boo boo, and can you take the late fee off of me, and I'm gonna pay that right now plus next month. So you want to maintain a communication with your creditors because it's a relationship. And to be sure, a lot of us have all kinds of relationships going on in our lives and we communicate in those. It's the same thing. This one is just about money, and then we need to stop being defensive. There's a lot of ways where women get messed up with their money. They get defensive when people want to show you better ways to utilize your money and where you can utilize your money. But it's so funny because we get defensive, not me, because I ain't getting defensive, no. But some women get defensive, right? And it's so funny because we are the same people who get defensive are the same one who's quick to spend it. You gonna make sure appointments are kept, like hair appointments, nail appointments, whatever, spa appointments. But then when somebody go have a conversation with you about money, you don't want to hear it, you defensive, so you shut down the knowledge, and then you repeat the same behaviors, and then you wonder why you're not going anywhere. And then also it's just financial illiteracy. Some people just don't know, and if they don't know, all they know is what they seen growing up. And if mom and dad or auntie, grandma, whoever raised them demonstrated some not so good money behaviors, I ain't gonna say poor because that's not the right word to use, because if grandma or whomever was raising them, that's a different era. So money was not like it is today than it was then. So different behaviors that don't fit today's reality, right? And if that's all you know, you transition in those behaviors to the now and they don't fit, it don't work. So you need to open up and speak and say, hey, this is not good. Because what you're doing is if you're not saying anything, what auntie, grandma, whoever raised you, if you got kids, you're doing exactly the same thing. And that's not breaking a generational curse. That's a repeat. You're preparing the generation for the next same thing that happened there. So we got to stop that. So we got to stop being defensive. We got to have budgets. We got to speak up and communicate. We got to be honest with ourselves and give ourselves grace. And don't think because we making money, we can go spend the money. That's not what it's about. You're supposed to earn the money and then make the money work for you. Not earn the money, then go spend it.
Exactly. And I think it goes back to start with, and this is a point that we talked about earlier about mindsets and about behaviors. And
Yep.
speak to getting to the root of, as you say, when you work with clients, that you get to the root of, I'm not just trying to look at your credit, I'm not just trying to look at your budget, I'm trying to get to what is your behavior behind how you deal with money. And a lot of us have fear of money. We don't really know how to deal with it. That wasn't necessarily a conversation that was always had growing up. It might have been that we didn't come from people who had money. It's not something that we necessarily learned in school. So talk to us about behaviors behind how we approach money.
So what I do with my clients when they say, "Oh, I need my credit repaired," they still come to me about that because a lot of people remember me from that. Or I got a credit problem, or I think I need your help. So immediately, new clients think that we're going straight to what they came to me for. But in order for me to properly help and serve you, I need to understand where you came from. So I ask a series of questions like, I ask you, what's your money philosophies? Nobody don't talk about that, right? I talk about, well, what were you taught growing up? Tell me about what it was like. Did you see your mom or dad or whomever say? Did they talk about money? Or did they tell you to just go to work and make the money and pay your bills? Like, I need to understand, like, what have you been told? Because that unfolds a lot of stuff, right? I also want to know, well, what do you think about poor people? What do you think about rich people? We need to have that conversation because that's going to tell me a lot about your thought processes. And I'm going to go somewhere with those thought processes. I also want to know, like, your reality. Like, give me a month. Walk me through on how you prep to pay these bills. What goes out first? How do you do this? How do you do that? And what I uncover most time, women put themselves last in everything, including their money. I learned that. So in my mind, I'm listening to the female telling me the story. I'm like, well, she doesn't think she's worthy. That's
Mm,
why she's saying like that. Because she's not even in her own budget. Chick, why you ain't paying yourself?
Address
What up?
that. Address.
Why you not paying that? You expect to go out here and work for the employer. You want them to pay, but you don't think you worth enough to pay yourself on what you earn? Like, what's going on? So that is a reflection of the behavior out there. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
Because if you're gonna put yourself first, what's gonna end up happening is a trickle down effect. You're gonna put the home first, everything is gonna be in order, right? And then your money's gonna get in order, and then these things are gonna change. And it all goes back to here. So I need to understand why they think that way, why they feel that way. Because if they thinking it, and you can attest this, if you thinking it, you're gonna speak it.
Mhm.
And what produces after speech is the action.
Exactly.
So, right. So now you got all these actions, which is the behavior. We call it the behavior.
Mhm.
So there's the behavior, and now you mad at everybody, blaming everybody for your money woes, but it started here. It didn't start with them. It didn't start because the collection people are calling you. It started with here. And where did this come from? Who planted that seed? So I try to get to the seed first, because sometimes some of these seeds, although we don't chip away at seeds, we try to just pluck out the seeds that don't belong. And then we want to replace them with new seeds. So your harvest can be thick and full and flourishing. That's pretty much what we're doing, right?
Mhm.
So we want to have a conversation, because I can't help you with credit if I don't understand that. And that's when it comes a little tough for some women, because they don't want to talk about it, or nobody's told them to talk about it.
Mhm.
And they don't want to, then they, remember I told you, they get defensive. So I call it the Wakanda move. They don't want to talk about it.
Like,
Nobody want to talk
forever,
about it.
just leave it out.
Leave it alone. I'm like, but you can't have that big pretty house if you can't address the root.
Mhm.
Because guess what, sister girl, I'm not sending you over there to go to the house when you still got these behaviors. Because guess what, if you a renter and you acting like a renter in a renter's place, that's fine. But if I don't uproot some of this stuff, what's going to end up happening is you're going to go in that house acting like a renter when you're supposed to be a homeowner, and you think you in deep, you know what now? What you think gonna happen when you get over there? That's a whole nother world.
Yes.
That's a whole nother responsibility. That's a whole nother walk. That's a whole nother way of thinking. And if you don't want to address it here, because when we address it, we're not attacking you, we loving you. We
Mhm.
say, okay, I understand mom, daddy, whoever did the best they could. But let me show you something a little bit different that's gonna work for you today. That's all we saying. So we gotta get an understanding of the root. And what I like to do when clients are answering those questions, I don't allow them to write. I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
When a client tells me the answers to those questions, what do we do when we write? Girl, we do it all the time. We don't even realize we do it. When we write the answer, I can't see you writing. You're like, oh, I don't need to say that. And you scratch that out, right? And then you add something else to make it look pretty because you want to
You're
look
crafting.
right. So no. When you talking with Coach Janera, all you got to do is talk. And Janera writes everything you say. Then Janera, when she's finishing her session, types it all up. Now I'm gonna present to you the picture that you look like on paper, and it don't look pretty.
Mhm.
Those are your words. I didn't add nothing. I didn't make it look pretty. I write it just as you say it. Because then I want to know how you feel. How does that make you feel now that you looked at that on paper? Because what you see that you don't like, that's the seed. That's what I'm talking about. Because I could tell you all day long, but until you actually see the seed, that's when the transition happens. A lot of coaches don't do that, but I prefer to write it.
Mhm.
Because, like I said, we try to get crafty, want to make it look pretty on paper. Stop trying to make yourself look cute. We gonna make you look cute, but not your way. We gonna do it another way, right? So, so once I present this new picture, I'm like, okay, but it's okay to have those feelings. It's okay. Because guess what? It's fixable. That's why you here. So just now imagine the picture that you don't like as a small dot. Because now we got a new bigger canvas. Guess what? The whole canvas is ours. What you gonna do? Let's get the paintbrush and start going at it.
And that's
That's what
where
we
we have to look at, because
yeah.
you can't change it what you won't confront, and we have to start confronting. And I think it's something very important that you said, is that really starting to look at what your money philosophy is. And we don't talk about having a philosophy. We don't talk about mission and vision and doing all this stuff for our life. But one of the components of our life is our financial life. And so you have to look at, what is my money philosophy? What do I think about money? because you
Mm-hmm.
can't really have a starting place if you haven't really looked at what do I think about money and where did that story come from. And so I think it's very important as we're having this conversation about having an exceptional life and living exceptionally. You can't start until you actually have that conversation. Well, what is my
Mm-hmm.
attitude? And I think if we look at the housing crisis that we had a few years ago, that was part of the problem because everybody ran out to get a house because they would say,
And
"Oh,
they
you
didn't
can get a
understand it.
house."
They didn't
But
understand it, didn't read it, didn't want to know it. They just want to know they can get it. And then when they got the keys, here's something my mother tells me. You can get the keys to the house all day long. But if you don't know how to maintain it, you might as well give them back them keys. And
and
that is
that's
a
what
part of
happened.
your financial here, which produces the behavior, the action, which is the behavior. So you can have it all day long. So why you want it? Because you want to show girlfriend or boyfriend, whomever, that you can get it. No, you want a bag? Show that you can get it and keep it, and then go get another one. How about that?
We property owners.
So we got some real estate going on now, child. We don't took that money and made it work for us. That's what we did. That's if you want to. I'm not saying brag about it, but if you got to show something, let your behavior speak for itself. How
Right,
about that?
right. And I think I want to go back to something that you mentioned, which is a behavior, which is an action, about budgeting. A lot of people don't know what a budget is, how to put up a budget, or they don't think they should budget. They just think I get paid, and once I pay out my bills, that's it. But there are some things like you were saying, paying yourself. So talk to the women about establishing budget and why it's so important to have a budget.
Mm-hmm. Well, so y'all, I'm gonna keep it real. That's just the type of coach I am, and we all say this, and I've said it too. Girl, I got paid Friday. I don't know where my money went. You know why you don't know where your money went? Because you didn't budget. Right? You don't know because you didn't budget. And that's why it's important. Stop saying I don't know where my money is going. If you want to know where your money is going, change your behavior. And that behavior is having a budget. So your budget is you could do it however way you want to because everybody's money flows different. So in my coaching, I don't like to tell my clients to have a cookie cutter budget
Hmm.
because you could get paid once a month.
Right.
I could get paid bi-weekly.
Hmm.
Our budgets are not going to be the same.
Exactly.
You can have a dual income. I can have one income. Our
Hmm.
budgets are not going to be the same. My thing is get a budget. We find out what works for you. So we're going to do a basic blank budget. So budget is your income that's coming into your house, and that's your top number. And then under each of it are all the items that's going out of your house. And at the end of the budget is what you're left with. That's discretional income. Some people don't have it, but we're going to
Hmm.
talk about how to get there. So you got your top number, which is your income. Your second number, y'all know y'all need to pay them tithes, 10%. Next 10% is you. Pay you, pay you, pay you. Now, there's a whole lot of ways to do budgets, but I'm not going to tell y'all what I teach because I have to respect different backgrounds because everybody don't have. So I'm telling y'all for our stage right now. Then what's left over? Bills. Now, if you continue to do the top two, you doing good.
Hmm.
And the top two is to hold over on this side. You know, not the tithes, but you pay the tithes, but that pay yourself is a good reason to do that. So you pay all your bills. You know what's coming in a month. And I say all your bills, yes, subscriptions is a bill. Don't say I got light bill, phone bill, condo, groceries, and whatever, and there's money left over. No, chick. If you got Netflix, if you got Prime, if you got that's a bill.
That's a
Stop treating it
bill.
like it's not a bill. Okay? All of that goes under there. Car, whatever. Now, you could be that person at the end of all of that, there ain't nothing. So I'm the coach is gonna tell you now. You done made this budget. You said you ain't got no money, and I said you got money. You like, no, I don't. Mm-hmm. First of all, we gonna get rid of these subscriptions. How much you paying a year on that? $300. Wow. Now you got $300 extra dollars stayed in your house. Now we got some money. See, this is how we work that with my clients. Then I'm looking at, okay, you got cell bill. You got, let's talk about that. You got a cell bill. Your cell bill is what a month? Okay, we need to restructure that. Maybe we need to negotiate your plan.
Hmm.
maybe if you got a family plan, you got some teenagers that's working, get them off. Because I'm gonna tell you what I did for my children. No, you get straight talk $35 a month and you pay it because mama don't pay it. Now you got some extra money. This is what I do with my kids because mama don't pay no phone bill. No, not for no teen. Big N-O in my house. Janera don't pay no teenagers. You want it, you pay for it. You got to learn responsibility. And parents, stop spoiling them babies, buying them everything. Teach them money responsibility. Now you're repeating another generational curse. Stop that. Teach them at an early age responsibility with their money. Tell them no, they want it, they have to earn it, work for it, and teach them how to manage that bill. That's how you start them. Okay, so that's another story. But anyway, so you go through the budget and it helps you see where your money going and maybe how you can circulate money back into your house. Right? So it's important to have the budget so you can see what's going on with your money. You need to start training your money to work for you, not leave you and be gone for life. So make a budget and train it. And sometimes training it means you might need a coach to come in here and help you because you don't know to get rid of that. You don't know you can negotiate this bill. You don't know that you can leave one cable company, I ain't gonna throw no names out there, but leave one cable company and go to the next one because this one got a better deal than this one. Or maybe you love your current cable company, but they not advertising that they running specials now. Did you know you can rewrite your agreement? And you can get a new package and be lower monthly payments. And now you got some money saved up. You see how you circulate that money back in your house? And you can take that money and put it in emergency funds and savings. You see how we just did that? But if you're not creating no budget, then of course you ain't gonna have no money because you don't know where it's going because you ain't planning it. That's that budget.
You just hit on something. It was said 5 times more women are living paycheck to paycheck.
They ain't got to.
You mentioned the emergency fund. Tell people what an emergency fund is.
Emergency fund is not an emergency because you want a pair of shoes. No, stop that. No, girl, stop playing. Emergency fund is I need 4 new tires. Emergency fund is the refrigerator just broke. Emergency fund is my child just started this team, and we didn't budget for that. And it's an emergency that he has whatever right now. Emergency fund is you done got sick and you didn't realize your bill's gonna be high because that 20% after your job paid the 80% ain't no joke. Emergency fund. That's what's that for. It's not for you to go be cute. It's for you to take care of emergencies that pop up unexpectedly. It's unexpected incidents money. That's what that is.
So how much should people look to put away in emergency fund?
Well, minimum, you should have minimum $500. I say over $1,000. Because guess what? We live in the time where things have gone up and the dollar has gotten weakened. You got to think like the world we live in. So you know you can't even go to the grocery store anymore. You get $20 worth of groceries, right? You can't do that anymore. Okay, so you got to start thinking like the world we live in. So minimum 500. I really say go over 1,000 because look, unexpectedcies come up, but they don't never come up with the price tag until after the fact, once it simmers down, right? So you don't know. And depending on the type of tires you use, you could eat up $500 right there.
And if you drive in high end, definitely.
Right?
You end up getting sick or something and need to make sure you can cover your bills. So you have to start looking at, do I have the resources to
and guess what? To cover your bills, that's not even an emergency fund. That's savings. That's 6 months of expenses and up. And you don't know where your money going, girl. You ain't planning it right.
But that's helpful.
But you need to get rid of some of these unnecessary expenses and start redirecting your money and make it work for you. So now you're not in a crunch and you calling mama, sister, whomever, can I borrow money? Or doing like I did, payday loans. I was the queen of payday loans because I did it. All that high interest. You said you ain't had no money. You borrow 1,000, and at the end you don't pay 2,000. You ain't had no money though. You ain't had no money. They just made an extra 1,000 off of you. You had $1,000, girl, and you only needed 1,000. Look at that. Something wrong with that picture. So we need to look at the whole budget and see where we can work it and start putting money in that emergency fund. So you ain't got to be picking up the phone, feeling guilty, embarrassed, and shameful because you got to ask mama and them for money and you got a good paying job. Let's keep it real. That's real talk.
And not have the fancy handbags and everything that you didn't put money into there.
I tell you about them handbags. If you pay $1,200 for a handbag, and then after you get that handbag and you can't put $1,200 in your wallet, that is not the purse for you. Sorry. Ain't sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
No.
Both of us have talked about going through divorce and having to rebuild. Tonight, I'm sure we have some women who are in that. And especially as we're coming through this pandemic, people have lost jobs. Women are trying to rebuild their lives. What would you give as some first steps to somebody who's trying to rebuild their financial life after something like a divorce?
Well, if you know, divorces can come up unexpectedly. So let's just say if you're divorced and you had some joint accounts, girl, with a quickness, go remove that joker off your credit card because you don't want nobody running up your stuff if you got them as an authorized user. So please check your credit cards if there have been joint accounts and get them off. Protect yourself. Always protect yourself. And then you need to retrain your mind. Again, we talked about mindset earlier. You are no longer a married woman with all this income, so your lifestyle has got to change. You have got to change. You got to sacrifice and give up some stuff until you can do more. So definitely sacrifice. Definitely start saving, because without the extra income, and if you got children, you may or may not be able to depend on child support. It's on you, sister. It's on you. So you got to figure out, how am I going to do this? You can get another job, do something on the side, start prepping and use that extra income as money to build your savings or emergency fund. You need to change your habits. If you was the type of person that was getting your hair done on a regular, but now your income went from this in your house to this, then you might need to like switch up. And if you get a perm, put your own perm in. Go call your best friend. I'm serious. Call your best friend, your mama, whoever. Y'all gonna have to do it yourself, and maybe just go to the salon and get your ends trimmed. That's like $10-15. So I'm serious. You're gonna have to restructure, because I did it. I'm telling you, I did it. There was no getting my hair done. Only got my ends trimmed. I don't have perms, so thank God I ain't have to worry about that. But you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You go get your ends trimmed. You was getting your nails done. Nope. You got to give it up. How bad you want it? You want a better life and a healthier financial life? How bad you want it? You're going to have to sacrifice for a little while. I didn't say for life, but for a little while to get you to where you want to be. So give it up. You still want your nails to be cute? You better go to one of these stores and get some Revlon and some nail polish remover and some clear and have a happy day. Because we're not going to those, get no gel, no gel nails and acrylic and pedicures. You better go get you a foot tub and some hot water and some Epsom salt and call it a day. And push them cuticle past it. You can still be cute on a budget. Stop playing. Give it up, because the money you was spending, put it up. Because guess what? The things you didn't think about as a married woman, because maybe he handled certain things, you got to think about all of it. All of it. And you got to look at, okay, now I'm married, and maybe, when you get like spouse and children or family package with your insurance, this is another thing. You need to go, well, you can't stop it in divorce, but when the renewal year shows up, girlfriend, you need to be adjusting your health insurance, because guess what? That's how much money's being eaten out of your check. You need to adjust. People don't think about this. You need to start adjusting these things and plan to adjust it. You need to start looking at if you got a bank account and you're making good money, you need to go get 2 bank accounts. A lot of people don't think about that. Because if you're going to follow the budget like I just described, you need to have a bank account just for bills. That's where all that money goes. Then the money over here need to be savings and emergency fund money. And that emergency fund money need to be in a checking account, because some things are like this and you cannot sometimes swipe a debit card for savings.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? It needs to be a checker so it's easily accessible. So you need to be separating them funds. You really need to just revamp the whole way of living, because if you don't, you're going to find yourself in a pit hole that you don't want to be in financially, because you're still trying to hold on to a past life that is no longer yours.
Mhm.
You and him are not together. You need to manage your money like the single woman you currently are. And it's going to be different for everybody, because some people walk away and their finances could be okay and they can live off of their income. Then you got some people who can't. You're going to have to let go of some things. It ain't about pride. It ain't about what everybody else thinks. You got to do what's right for you and your family. You got to give it up. You got to say no. Say no. Okay? Your friends come telling you, girl, let's go out for the weekend, and you newly single, newly divorced, and you ain't got no money. You better stop saying yes to them friends. They don't need no friends. Them ain't no real friends. Get rid of them. I'm
We can't
sorry.
afford
I'm
that.
not trying to hate on your so-called friends, but ain't no real friend gonna tell you to do that when you're trying to reestablish yourself financially. Y'all gotta find other ways. Get back there on that patio, get you a little whatever you drink. I don't know. I ain't gonna encourage you nothing, but get you whatever and get on that back patio. Go to the other girl's house who got the Netflix that you done gave up. Go watch Netflix at her house.
I love how
Shoot,
you
Coming
keep
to
it real.
America too. Coming to America too just came out, but you done gave up your prom. Go over there. How about that? And go in your cabinet and get something, take something, because you don't want to go over there empty-handed. Now you watching her prom, you gotta bring something.
I love how you keep it real.
You see what my whole point is: restructure your life. Don't try to hold on to what's old, because you gotta now create the new. And the new is probably giving up something for a little while. That's the
And
best thing I could tell someone to do.
and what about the single women who get into these situations and they are commingling their funds and dealing with all of
You try
that?
to get me stirred up tonight for the people, because you know what you're doing, because you know how I feel about that.
I'm just trying to help people, because we have people who are in situations now that they don't realize that it might be something that affects their financial future that can last decades.
All right. I'm gonna keep it real with the people. Y'all excuse me, I be having my moments, so y'all excuse me with this fan. Okay, so single women. I love y'all, because I used to be how some of you all are, and oh, let me tell you something. I don't care how much you love him. Ain't that much love in the world that you got to co-sign. Ain't that much love in the world that you got to co-mingle. Because if your name ain't Mrs. Whomever, and even then there's a way to do that, but if your name ain't Mrs. Whoever, girl, bye. No, you don't do that. You just don't do that. And let me tell you, I was telling Evita earlier, look, here's a red flag how you know this man does not have good money habits. So if y'all a couple, y'all loving it up, y'all the couple, y'all doing y'all thing, and that's your boo, blah, blah, blah. And every time y'all go out, your man taking you out and he using a credit card, and he don't never use a debit card, which is a difference between a credit card and a debit card. He's not using a debit card, but always flashing credit card. He gonna pay for this, he gonna pay for that. You don't never see no cash. Yoo-hoo, red flag, red flag. And let me tell you why this is a red flag. He is demonstrating to you some poor money habits. That's a man that likes to stay in debt. Because if you're a couple that's going out, let's see, 3 times a week plus the weekends, and this is a consistent thing, he's accumulating debt. And if this is your boo that you want to be his missus, and if he's demonstrating this behavior, guess what? That is going to show up in your marriage. And you don't want them kind of money problems, because now you're starting a marriage off with a money problem. So what you need to do is, I'm not saying leave him, have a money conversation. So just say, hey, I noticed every time we go out, you like to use your credit card. Is that how you like to pay for things, or do you prefer cash? These are easy conversations. It's not hard. You ain't judging. You're asking. Don't be attacking the brother, man. Y'all stop emasculating these men. Sorry, I had to say that. But, ask him. And now, if the questions you're asking him are harmless, if he's getting defensive, that ain't your mister. Because if he can't have a money conversation with you as y'all a couple and dating, whatever, he ain't gonna want to have the money conversation with y'all when you married. And it's gonna be some money problems. Because Every couple should be able to sit down and have a conversation about money. You're not judging, you want a better understanding, because what you don't want is two people get married with the same money problems, behaviors. That ain't good.
No,
That's not good.
no.
You really gonna have some serious problem. And then you co-mingling, girl, you're gonna be in bad debt forever. If you both of y'all doing that and then you want to co-mingle. So you gotta be willing to talk to your boo, whoever he is, and have a conversation. Pay attention to those signs. Don't get so caught up in he drives this or he takes me here all the time or whatever. Look how he's paying for stuff. That's a form of communication. He's demonstrating to you how he likes to handle money. And if he can't talk to you that, baby, we can't go out this week because I got to put money aside, that's the kind of man you want. If he's telling you we can't do this time, maybe let's plan for it, that's the kind of dude you want. But if he's telling you let's go out all the time and spend, and is racking up all these credit card bills or amounts and keep getting higher and higher, that's more he got to pay out. And he might have the income, but all his income is going to that. So how you gonna have a future with that? Because he can't save, because he gonna be saying, I just got paid and I don't know where my money went, where it went. You see what I'm saying? He's saying what you said.
And I think it's important that we don't realize that we have to have these conversations. And you have married couples who can't have financial conversations, that either both people handle their finances separately or they have them together, but one person's in control of the money. But you have to have a conversation, and you have to repeatedly have the conversation, because as your income grows, you have to be able to deal with that.
Things change. You might get married, start out in an apartment, then you transition over to the house. See, things change, and how you handle the money is going to change. And there's going to be also in a relationship, the spender. There's always a spender. I don't care. There's going to be a spender. There's going to be the saver. You got to figure out who's who. So you got to have this conversation, because the saver might be good at saving you for spending money over here. When you go over here and get it cheaper, you find the ways. The saver's got a money coach, and she's learning some stuff and bringing it back to the house, so you guys can have an even better future. But if you always over here spending every week, eating out 5 days out of 7 days, well, you got a problem. Somebody need to go to cooking one-on-one or something. I ain't doing it because it ain't working for you. It ain't working. No.
We laugh, but it's true. Somebody is living that experience. They're eating out, and I say it all the time. And even working in corporate, you watch the habits of people. And I'm an accountant by day, and so I sit there and I'm like, you eat out 3 times a day, 5 days a week. I don't know what you do on the weekends, and I'm like, that's a lot of money going out the window.
But let me say this. And y'all that got pride of eating out, y'all want to bring y'all little Rubbermaid containers to work. Let me tell you, if Oprah, who's a billionaire, still carries a brown bag to work with lunch, honey, you and your little $20 an hour can do a brown bag for lunch too. Stop playing. Stop being all shameful.
That's how the rich stay rich. Yeah.
Keep it real.
But those who are wealthy, they know how to negotiate, and they will carry a lunch and those type things, because they know what they value, what are priorities, and what they are seeing their money go to. And I think that's huge. Exactly. And I think overall that we really have to start looking at what are our behaviors, what are our thought processes, and how do we handle our money based on those things. But in our final few minutes, what are some resources that people can tap into, whether it's if you have like books or websites or things that people can start to look into if they're starting to really look at, I want to start taking control of my financial future?
Well, one of you need looking at me first.
Definitely, we want them to connect with you.
Okay, so let me tell you, she might be a money coach, but she's a salesperson too. Oh no. She come first. Y'all see how I did that? Didn't I tell y'all put yourself first priority? She come first. Then you go to whomever and get their book. No, you come here first.
But we definitely want them to connect with you first.
That's right. You might read that book, but that book ain't gonna tell you what I just said. Exactly. So you're gonna find me first on both platforms, which is on Instagram and Facebook. And on Facebook is facebook.com/Credit Journey LLC. And then on Instagram is Credit Journey LLC. So then what I recommend, if you want to start your budget, that's what you want to start, right? You want to start your budget?
Mm-hmm.
There are so many apps out here. Now, all of them don't work for everybody because remember I said there's no cookie cutter budget. So
Right.
everything's going to work different. So here's what I recommend. Try them, do the free trial. You don't like them, pay attention to your money. Don't you let that next month come over and then you paying for something now your money done went out the door, right? So do the free trial. If you like it, then you working into your budget. If you don't, guess what? You didn't lose no money. Go to the next one and try it, okay? And none of those help. That's what I'm here for. I will help you, find a budget that works for you. So there's Mint, there's Truebill. I'm trying to think what other apps are there out there. I just something like cash flow, something with the word cash flow. But if you go into the app store and just put budget or budgeting, you'll see a whole list pop up. So definitely go there. Or you could just simplify it. If you're good on the computer, get your spreadsheet, put the month, income, list all your bills, and then have it add it up, subtract it, and that's what you're left with. And you, that type of person, you can do that. It's very simple. Books. I don't like to read books about money. I'll be honest with you. I just don't, because I don't feel like all the authors out there who have books on money is good if you're trying to really, really learn about money. I do like Dave Ramsey. I like his teacher and Susie Orman because they tell you things, but sometimes in these books, you might be at a place that book not speaking on.
Right.
This is why I said you need a money coach, because it could be a good book and I could recommend it. And what if they telling you start preparing for retirement and we're going to show you how to take your retirement and divvy up the funds so you could put buckets of your money here. But if you ain't got the part that I'm talking about, straight the personal stuff, that don't mean nothing to you. You see what I'm saying? So right. I'm not shutting these authors down that speak on money because, like I said, I do like Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman, but I don't recommend books on money to my clients. What I do recommend is maybe if you want to look up something online, look it up. And if you're not sure, let's have a discussion about it. Because sometimes you can read things and you may understand or you may not understand, but we can have a conversation about it. Or you can follow me. You see some things that I post. You see some of the stuff I post. So you see some of the stuff I post and you can pick up some things from there. But definitely you can Google some stuff. Articles are good. There are different blogs out there. Get in some of these Facebook groups. They're just financial groups on Facebook for women. And you can go in there and learn. Even if it's not a membership, you can learn from the other people who are there because they're sharing their experiences and stuff. So that's a good place to start. But if you, that person, you need to shift and some things that you having this private conversation with yourself that you need to change it, first things first is call me. Like, I'm so serious because I want to see the women succeed. I want to see them change their story, their financial story. Like you said earlier, what are we going to do different from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic? And I will say this, pre-pandemic, whatever you was doing with your money pre-pandemic, that don't work for a post-pandemic. It just don't work. This is why you need to be honest with yourself and say, you know what? I'm going to get me a money coach. It's a great investment. You're not spending, you're investing in yourself so you can have that exceptional financial future. So that will be my recommendation. So Facebook groups, apps, and read some articles. If you want to get books, just look them up. But I don't have one that I'm like to say, oh, go read this, because I haven't done it. So I'm not going to tell you do something I haven't done.
Well, I definitely think, I'm a person that writes everything down. So I have a notebook that is like my budget notebook. And so
or a journal, yeah.
I write it all down. And so it's like, I know what I've spent. And also one of the great things, like some of the banks, I know like my credit union, when it logs my purchases, it puts it in categories. And so then in the month I can go and see the picture. And so we have to start capitalizing on that.
Utilize your resources.
You know where your money's going.
That's another thing. There's a lot of free stuff out here. And sometimes, yes, I'm going to use the L word, and I'm not saying it in a negative tone. Stop being lazy. If, like you said, you have an account at a bank, see what free resources they have. It's free. I mean, you don't mind asking for the hookup. Well,
Go get the free.
Get hooked up with the free stuff. I mean, for real. You know, get the free stuff and take advantage of it. That's what it's there for. And if you're not utilizing, then you can't blame somebody else for your financial state if it's not good.
It
It
only
was right
takes
there.
it only takes going through a bad financial situation for you to realize
Girl, it will
it's
change your
time.
life, won't it? It will change your life. You like, I ain't never going back over there. I don't came out. I ain't doing that no more. Don't ask me for no money. You can't even get a quarter. That's what it be like.
Well, I just want to say I have so enjoyed our conversation tonight. I
Her.
know it was condensed compared to what we could have done, but I think it really has started to, I pray, open the eyes of some people to say, let me look at my money. Let me look at what I think about my money. And is my money really working for me? Because one of the things that I hate to see women get into bad situations with money. And it's oftentimes because we have big hearts and we want to help everybody else. And then we're at the end of the day thinking about, when we get older, we're going to be working at Walmart because we did not make good financial choices. And we can't retire. We can't vacation. We can't do these things because we're always stuck with the decisions we made.
Mhm.
But I believe that this is the year that we can get our money right. Start by going getting a money coach. You can
Yes.
follow Janera on Facebook and Instagram. I do, and she always posts great information. And so, just quick little nuggets for you to think about and really check yourself. So, I definitely encourage you to do that tonight. Do it right now while you sit there with your phone and follow her. And if you know you're in that situation, do not be ashamed to ask for help. One way that you can be exceptional is stop being like everybody else. Everybody else just gets themselves into a situation and don't say nothing. The person who really wins is the person who says, I got a problem. I need help, and gets the right help so they can get out. And so we
Mm-hmm.
want to see people get out this year, get out of debt, get out of financial bondage, get into financial freedom, and just realize you don't have to live up under that stress. And women are stressed out because their money is tied up. And if you really want to live a good life, it's about getting hold of your finances. And as she said, if you can't go out, you can't go out. Don't be mad. Just find something else to do because you want to make sure that at the end of the day, you got the money that those who went out are sitting there struggling and you're not in the struggle anymore. And take it from
Mm-hmm.
both of us who have lived that experience of knowing what it's like to be bound in finances
Yes.
post divorce. But now we are able to say that we're out of that
Mm-hmm.
because we had to make some different decisions and get some education and really put the work in. But you can do it because if we did it, you can do it. It
That's
just
right.
takes finding the right people. So I'm encouraging you tonight, if that's your story that you need financial help, Janera is here. Follow her, connect with her, see if y'all are a good fit. And if you are, then you can get some help tonight and really get to take hold of your financial future. So, with that said, we have one more session next week for all of our entrepreneurs, people seeking to start businesses, those who are trying to grow their businesses. Get with us next Thursday night as we have a business strategist with us, and we'll be talking about entrepreneurship and women starting businesses because we know the real way to financial freedom is when you work for yourself. And so we want to do that on next week. But tonight we are so thankful for all that you have imparted into us because we needed it. We can always get more information, but now it's time to take that information to the next level and apply it and live it and work it. So make sure you connect with Janera. Make sure you follow us at Exceptional Living here on Facebook and on Instagram. If you want to get the shirt or any of the Exceptional Woman gear, make sure you go to the Facebook page and follow the link. It'll lead you to the store to be able to make those purchases. And we will be here next Thursday night at 8 o'clock. If you missed any of tonight, the replay will be up shortly. And you can also follow us on YouTube at Exceptional Living Empowerment Coaching and Training. So until next week, get on that finance, get your money, connect with Janera, connect with me so that we can go to the next level and all have an exceptional 2021. So we hope you have a great night. Thanks, Janera. Talk to you
You're
soon.
welcome. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.